North Shanxi was one of the poorest parts of China.
Had I stayed here for 11 days, I would also become a communist.
Here, one term was heard more often than any other. It was the people.
Welcome to Yan'an. This city in northwest China would be unrecognizable to those foreign writers who wrote about it in the 30s and 40s. It's arguably one of the most important places in China, and it was here where a phrase that would become synonymous with New China was first championed. And that phrase? Serving the people. This is Xinhua Special. I'm Helen Bentley, and I'm exploring the moments that matter to modern China. In 1935, the main force of China's Red Army ended the Long March near Yan'an. During this one-year epic military retreat, men and women covered over 12,000 kilometers, fought hundreds of battles, and arrived in northwest China with their numbers depleted from 86,000 to 7,000. For the next 10 years, those 7,000 weary troops in Yan'an grew to over 1 million loyal fighters, holding lands populated by 100 million. They redistributed lands, opened schools, abolished outdated traditions. They started to build a new China, all the while in the midst of war and within the blockaded Red capital. It wasn't long after the Red Army finished the Long March that some foreign journalists, curious to understand the Chinese Revolution, ventured through the barricades into Yan'an. Edgar Snow, author of Red Star Over China, was first among them. It was in this cave house, or yaodong, one night that Edgar Snow met with the leading figure of China's revolutionary movement, Mao Zedong. Snow wanted to know how poverty and suffering could be ended in China, to which Mao replied that only when the masses were emancipated would the true power of the nation be revealed.
通过我们党和政府制定了真正能够代表落实人民群众各方面利益的路线方针政策。在政治上，他实行了参议会制度，建立了3·3制的抗日民主政权，在农村实行了减租减息的政策。我们还大力开展了基层的社会教育，就是以提高农民文化水平为出发点的基层的社会教育。
Snow wrote that he once saw Mao on a street not unlike this one, and despite a $250,000 bounty hanging over his head, Mao was moving along unconcernedly with the rest of the strollers and talking with 2 young peasants. We will never know what Mao Zedong and the 2 farmers talked about that day, but for the Yan'an communists, this people-centered approach was intrinsic to the wider movement.
弟兄5个都给人拉过呢，我给人拉羊呢，10几给人拉羊呢，拉牛，红军闹土地革命，对不对？大土豪封建地，这个才打的。35年，参加游击队以后，后来我就打阎锡山。 军民合作，老百姓有什么可跟当地的投资，那离了老百姓不行吗？咱们这一直离不老百姓，不离老百姓，老百姓就在那，过生活这离不了老百姓嘛，离了老百姓不行。
In old China, literacy was a privilege afforded by the few. In Yan'an, however, under the communists, education was free and universal. This building behind me was Lushun Academy of Arts, one of the colleges established by the communists in those tumultuous days of war.
我们鲁艺的师生作为鲁艺精神的传人，一直坚持文艺为人民服务的思想。 比如，老师会带我们去线上参加文艺扶贫，去社区举办文艺活动，将鲁艺精神发扬光大。
The Yan'an that Edgar Snow visited was one of the poorest parts of China. There was no industry, electricity, and farming land was scarce. It seemed it would be poor for centuries to come. The Japanese and Kuomintang forces surrounding Yan'an tried to economically suffocate the city. The people and troops were staring down the barrel of famine. The only way to get food on the table was to look to the hills of the plateau. The yellow hills of Yan'an feature some of China's most unforgiving terrain. It took thousands of farmers hundreds of hours to work this dry clay soil into arable land for grain. Their hands and sweat saved Yan'an from starvation and supported countless soldiers on the front line.
在国民党日本军队这样一个围剿下呢，我们看到陕北边区遇到了特别的困难，最终呢就决定在陕北这块贫瘠的土地利用这样一些大量的荒地，带动民众去开荒。那么共产党人不仅是带领自己的军队各机关的干部去进行，领导人也身体力行的去进行，甚至派出大量知识分子到这个民众中去，跟他们一起参与劳动。所以呢，知识分子就觉得大生产运动不仅是锻炼了体魄这个物质上我们就获得了这个大丰收，而且在精神上进行了这样一个洗礼。
Today, the fear of hunger is a distant memory. In fact, earlier this year, the last two impoverished counties in Yan'an shook off poverty. And where trees were raised some 70 years ago for cultivation, afforestation is turning the yellow hills green once again. Since 1949, Yan'an's landscape has changed. When New China was founded, only 10% of the city was covered in trees. Now, that's nearly 50%.
我59年来的时间，南宁湾也是，虽然说这个一片荒地树没有了，但是地还有，但是这个生活条件和42年大生产运动差不多。99年退耕还林以后，不再光种播收了，山上全部退下来了。我们的稻地再不像黄河滩一样了，所以大家社员对这个退耕还林很满意。我们南宁湾不光南宁湾村，南宁湾政府出了好多大学生、博士生、研究生，还有博士后，就是说这社会主义是确实是干出来的。我们坐下光等着是不行，就是这些好生活、好光景、好日子是我们人民干出来的。
American journalist Anna Louise Strong said that during her time in Yan'an in the 40s, one term that she heard more often than any other was the people. Despite the years that have passed, the people remain.
人民是历史的创造者，是决定党和国家前途命运的根本力
量。Yan'an is a place where revolutionary ideas sparked great change. It's the sum of the CPC's previous achievements in Shanghai, Jiaxing and Jiangxi, and the catalyst for the greatest change that China saw last century, rebirth. Which brings us onto Xivaipo, the penultimate stop as we discover the moments that matter to modern China. I'll see you there.